Hello, my name is Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. Today we have a guest who has a great eye for the outdoors, perhaps for the indoors too, but I know about the outdoors. Golf photographer Mike Klemme. Gary, I don't know what you know about photography. I know you used to do some photography.
Uh, that's not the. Yeah, I used to own a camera. I don't think I would. I'm not going to say I did photography while I'm talking to this guy. Not only has he, I mean, he's the master of all outdoor stuff. You just go to his website. He shot 1,800 golf courses, which is more than I've played by a few.
A
But
lot more than me too.
you've got all kinds of other photos too that are incredible. Mike, I can't. I don't think give people an idea of how hard it is to shoot a good scenic photo of a golf hole, because a lot of times everything's flat. I know you guys used to use ladders and all kinds of stuff. I know anybody who's taking a picture of a golf hole, you get home and look at it, you go, yeah, it's kind of flat. It never looks good. But when you guys do it, it looks good. How do you do it?
Well, the big secret is early morning and late evening, long shadows.
Yep.
Cover up all of those bad spots with the shadows.
and don't let those pesky golfers get in the way and ruin it.
Well, that and, when you're out there early in the morning, you have to deal with the superintendent and his crew also. But you just make it happen. It's just part of being an assignment photographer. You're given a certain amount of time to come up with something dramatic, something that's going to help people sell golf rounds or hotel room nights or real estate, and it's up to you to bring the magic. So it's a problem-solving exercise, and it's been a great honor to get behind so many gates that I never would have gotten behind without my camera over all these 40 years of practice.
We understand that.
Yeah, I bet you do.
You never see a great photo of the seventh hole at Pebble Beach when there's a guy mowing the green at the same time.
Never. Well, and I've always made it a practice not to have people in my images. It gives the images a longer life. I want people to imagine themselves standing in that spot. And what's more negative than to have someone in front of you when you're playing golf, right? Plus, styles change, hairstyles it change. Excuse me, Gary.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
and you don't want to date the
hairstyles. What's that?
You're coming back as a guest, Mike. As often as you want.
Hairstyles. Yeah, that's good. Well, it's funny because I don't know why golf photos with people in them look bad, but you just said it. The people you wanted to be there by yourself, and it intrudes. I didn't realize why I didn't like people in the photos. Now, granted, my stated goal in life is to play golf unimpeded, so I should have thought of that. But yeah, that's why it just doesn't look right when people are in there. It ruins the look. It almost makes it look like a cheap postcard instead of a grand photo.
Well, like I say, if there's no one in front of you, it gives you the opportunity to put yourself into the picture. Think about what club you're going to pull out of the bag, where you're going to place your shot. And if you've held someone that long, you've held them about 10 times longer than a photograph where there's someone in front of you. So that's the philosophy.
I like a photograph that you can sit there and look at for a long time. And it's
just
not
dream
that easy
about
to
it.
get those, as you know, but when you do, they're captivating, whether it's, like in tournament play, Hogan's 1-iron at Marion. There's just certain photographs that have that extra something that you can just keep. There's things to look at.
Yeah, you're right.
And some of you are also, in addition to having done photographs of 1,800 beautiful golf courses, or when you're done with them, they look beautiful. You've also done some wonderful panoramic shots of places that most people would like to be, like a panoramic shot of the first tee, the 10th tee, the 18th green, I think, of St. Andrews, the old course at St. Andrews with the famous clubhouse
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
And those are things that people can actually buy now from you.
Yes, we've got a new website. It's called golfaslife.com, golfaslife.com. And it's in conjunction with the National Golf Foundation. We're giving a portion of all of the sales from that site to the NGF to help grow the game that I've loved my whole life. So we're just having a lot of fun with it. We're going to be offering a monthly drawing to win a print. That'll be rolling out the 15th of this month. And then you guys know Steve Pike?
Yes.
Sure.
He's a golf journalist from Palm Beach. He and I are working on a Golf is Life book, and it's a combination of my images that we've taken over the last 40 years and stories that we're soliciting from people in the golf industry and kind of insiders and outsiders of the golf business. We're just collecting all kinds of wonderful stories about people and their experiences with golf, the last round with dad and, all of those great things like that. So we will be offering pre-sales on that in a couple of weeks. And then it should be out in October of this year.
Now there's a special kind of print that you offer that's unlike what people would most often think of as a golf print. And it's different than the ones that we used to get 25 or 30 years ago to put on the wall. Can you explain what it is and the process?
Sure.
And why
Thanks for asking, Kathy. That's a great question. It's called SEG fabric. It has a metal frame, but you only see 1/16 of an inch of that frame. You mount the frame on the wall, and then the actual media is fabric. It fits into the frame with a rubber gasket, and we can do extremely large sizes up to like 8 by 12 feet.
Wow.
The beauty of it is that it knocks down sound. There are so many people now that don't use carpet in their rooms.
Oh, yes.
And they're all of these hard surfaces and the sounds bouncing around. This really helps to stop that. Also, in a really brightly lit room, it doesn't have reflections like a traditional glass framed print. And the third thing is, and the thing I love the most, is you can take the fabric out over time and replace it with another piece of art.
Okay, and you still have the one, you roll it up and save it, and then if you want it back, you unroll it and take the other one down.
There you go.
So if I have that painting in a room, would that mean if Kathy talked, I wouldn't be able to hear her at all?
No, it just wouldn't hear any reverberation.
Could you maybe work on that version that's a little thicker fabric then?
You want the one where you put it over my head and roll me up and
yeah, well, I mean,
put you in a tube.
She's about 8 states away from me, so I don't have to worry about that. Like I know the Golf Digest guys and the Golf Magazine guys, they're sent out to shoot courses, and you got to have the right weather. And I know there's stories of guys stuck somewhere they don't want to be for a week or more. If you had to have had some adventures like that where you had an assignment and the weather just wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had to stay anywhere longer than 3 days. So that's the good news.
That's pretty good.
But, I used to do all kinds of foreign assignments. I worked for a lot of golf course architects, Tom Watson and Palmer and Player, and I'd go to Japan or someplace in Dubai or someplace like that, and sometimes you just have to wait it out. But it kind of made.
What's the worst one? What in Dubai, do you have to wait out a sandstorm?
Well, you don't have a whole lot of bad weather there. That was probably a bad example.
But they can get sandstorms. I mean, it's like Palm Springs. You can get a sandstorm there.
Yeah, haboob.
Yeah, okay. In Palm Springs, they still call it a sandstorm, but it may be a haboob in Dubai.
So anyway, it's just part of the game. You just have to build it into your schedule somehow. But it's sure been a lot of fun. And on those days off there where you're stuck and you can't shoot, it gives you an opportunity to go visit the area and be a tourist for a couple of days.
Well, that's
Well,
I
fun.
always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What kind of tools, when you go out in a golf course with a cart, you've probably already planned what kind of shot, where you're going to take shots. What kind of tools do you take with you? Do you have to take some light screens? I know you take ladders. How do you climb? Do you bring tree climbing apparatus? How do you get some of these shots, Mike? You ride out on a cherry picker?
Sometimes a cherry picker, sometimes a helicopter.
Okay.
I've often used a ladder on lots of courses out in the desert, out in Palm Springs and in Tucson and in Phoenix, because the light comes up so quick there. You've got to get it done pretty fast. So, and to get a little elevation helps a lot.
Yeah.
But other tools is just I do an awful lot of planning. I get to the course early in the afternoon and use a scorecard as my notepad and just figure out where I need to be at certain times based on how the sun is setting and how the shadows are going to fall, based on trees being close to the fairways, things like that. It's just a pattern that I've learned over 40 years of doing this.
Was
But it's
there
still
any
fun.
place where you're planning it out and you realize this photo could be okay, but I need to come back in 3 months or 4 months when it's fall and the light's lower? That would be a lot better then if you had things like that happen?
Yeah, you just have to make the best of it. It's not always going to be perfect, but you get as close to perfect as you possibly can.
Well, you
It's
don't
about
mean,
drama.
and you
It's
don't
about
come back in
drama.
the fall and get that shot then?
If they'll pay me.
You said, well, there you go. I'm still trying to picture you dangling out of a helicopter.
Oh yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Those are scary.
know.
How do you do that? Do you lean out the side? I mean, the video cameraman strap themselves to the helicopter and they stand on those
On the runners. Yeah, I do.
Oh
I do
my
the same thing. Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, and do you do that for like several hours in a row?
No, usually an hour, hour and a half.
Okay,
Helicopter time is so expensive.
well, that and there was a guy I had to shoot Kiowa Island Ocean Course before it opened.
Yeah.
And when he was done with his shots at the end of the day, he was just a little bit, I mean, it just messes with your equilibrium, I think.
A little.
Does that
A
sound
little.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a pretty solid platform. I think the strangest thing, I was in Casa de Campo, which I'm sure you're familiar with, shooting down there, and I climbed in the helicopter and got my headphones on and was all ready to go, and realized that the pilot didn't speak a word of English.
Oh,
There was a lot of hand gestures.
that was before the phones that will translate for you.
Right. Oh yeah, it was back in the 90s.
Yeah, I guess. Wow.
What were a couple of your, I don't want to say favorite courses to shoot, maybe easiest courses to shoot? I mean, everybody thinks Pebble and Cypress are so photogenic you can't hardly mess up. But what did you like to shoot?
Well, at the minute you started down this road, I thought of Cypress Point. It's just the best. It's basically 3 different golf courses.
Yes.
It's back in the woods and out in the open area, and then the ocean holes, and they're all just one's as beautiful as the other. There's another place that comes to mind, a place called Kawana Resort. It's about an hour south of Tokyo by bullet train. And they call it the Pebble Beach of Japan.
Okay.
It sits on the side of a hill, and at every hole you have ocean views. Just
Wow.
a fabulous place. Fabulous.
Wow.
So-
I'd like to see that. I don't know if I'd like to travel that far to see it, but I would certainly.
Oh, it's
So-
worth it. It's worth it. Believe me.
I just want to ride the bullet train. That sounds pretty good.
It does
Well, it's
sound
funny
like-
how many places have a course a local course they call, well, this is the Pebble Beach of Scotland or
Right.
whatever. There's a lot of those out there. It's funny, and there's truth to all of them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now, how did you get started doing this? You must have done something else before you leapt into golf, so to speak.
Well, our connection was with Landmark Land Company, and I had a very close friend in college who was the general manager of Oak Tree Country Club.
You
Guy by the
mentioned
name of Steve Braley.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
So Steve, I was doing a bunch of nature photography, birds and ducks and landscapes and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
Steve said, "Well, why don't you come out and photograph our golf course?" And I did. And I spent probably 3 days. And then when I went to show him my slides, we were doing the slideshow in a dark room, and these two guys I could tell walked in the back of the room, and it was Pete Dye and
There's only one Pete.
and Ernie Vossler.
Okay.
And they
So they
watched the slideshow, and I started picking up other jobs for Landmark and for Pete after that just crazy, weird introduction.
That's right.
So, you know, and in those days, if you were working for Landmark Land Company, you could work for anyone.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door, and I never wanted to leave. It was just the best job I could have ever imagined.
Well, and you haven't left. You're still doing it.
No, can't make me quit.
It's a good locker room to hang out in golf courses.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, the places that I've been able to get into that I never would have been able to come close to getting into without my camera is just pretty incredible.
Was there any place you went that you got on the grounds, maybe a place you didn't know about, and your jaw just dropped? You're like, holy cow, where did this course come from? I never even heard of it.
Not really. I usually did a pretty good job of learning about places before I showed up, so I had a pretty good idea. But I always tell people though about Augusta, you know, those things that you aspire to see and do your whole life, and then when you get there, it's a big letdown. Augusta's just the opposite. It's way better than what you ever imagined. I highly recommend it to anybody who's a golf fan to make their way to the Mecca.
Well, they have the advantage of elevation.
It's 3D, yeah.
They have the advantage of elevation that other people have to build.
That that feeling on standing on the tee on number 10 and looking down that hill, it just can't show it on the television like you.
Well,
like
I always tell that story the reverse way. I tell people, go stand down by the 10th green. There's a bunch of bushes and flowering trees there. It's beautiful, and you look back up the hill, and you can just barely see the top of the club. I mean, it's a 110-foot drop. If you're not in awe of that, then you know, get off the grounds.
No, and I just flat love that, what I call the fright bunker, out about 150 yards. That big bunker that sits out in front of the green. God, it's just perfect golf course architecture.
Well, that bunker was where the green originally was.
Yep, you're right.
In fact, I'm told that's the only remaining original bunker on the golf course. Now it's been redone and whatever, but it's the only that is still in the same place. They moved the green because it was in a low-lying area and they had moisture problems. They backed the green up to get it up on a little more of a hillside, so it would dry out faster. But you wonder why that bunker's there, because it's not really in play unless, you know, you or I were playing there, Mike. Then it would be for our second shots, no doubt. But for the pros, it's, you know, but it's a beautiful bunker, and that hole, the second, you know, both halves of that hole are beautiful. But again, as a photographer, how do you get a shot of that hole that's somehow able to convey that 110-foot drop?
You can't.
You just have, once again, we use the shadows. The shadows give you the depth.
That'd be it. But where would you stand or position yourself to do that? Would you be 100 yards past the tee?
More up the hill.
Up the hill?
Closer to the tees. Yeah.
Okay. And then
See,
you can see
the
around
disadvantage for television is, the last player goes through 10 at what, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the latest. So you're not getting those
No,
shadows to give you the depth.
they're teeing off at 2 and 3
Yeah, on
o'clock.
Sunday
So,
they tee off at like at 3, so they're not.
Yeah, I
there
guess you're
till-
right.
so it'd
They're
be 5
5,
o'clock.
but
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's
there were
still,
long shadows across the green when Crenshaw made that crazy putt
yeah,
in '84. But
yeah, good memory.
you're all, at that point you're probably getting too much. Everything's shady down in the bottom, so
Right. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's too late. So that's
I think
the
your
game I
point is
play.
well taken. Go to Augusta. It's the most incredible, course without an ocean next to it.
Right. Yeah.
Now, do
One of them.
you take your clubs when you go on
No.
these missions? No?
No. I hardly ever play. It's I tell people if I really was a golf playing addict,
Yeah.
it would be like being an alcoholic bartender. Never get anything done.
You already have too much equipment to lug, anyways. A set of golf clubs would be like that's the
exactly
straw that
right.
broke the camel's kneecap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've already got all my clothes and all my cameras. I have no room for
You
clubs.
got no room for clubs.
Yeah.
Look on your website, on your new website, you've got things that are non-golf. Tell us about your interest in what else you shoot, panorama-wise, landscapes, sunsets. You've got flowers, you got everything on there. What do you like to shoot?
Everything, anything beautiful. I like to share beauty, and I like to share calm. We've done a lot of work over the last 15 years decorating hospitals with that type of imagery. We've probably decorated 20 entire hospital campuses with imagery, framed golf course, or not golf course, but
Right.
nature imagery. And, as much as I love the golf industry and the people in the golf industry, it's quite a thing to get a letter from a cancer patient who tells you how much your artwork has meant to their journey and healing. It almost makes me break down and cry just thinking about it.
Absolutely, it would.
Anyway,
flowers are always good because they're pretty and they're sitting ducks. They don't move unless it's a real windy day. You can't hardly miss.
Yeah, and they don't gripe about how bad they look.
But they're also hard to reposition, though. If a couple aren't lined up right, there's not much you can do.
The main reason I like to put flowers in the healthcare setting is that it makes people realize it's pretty obvious that there is a God. No one else could design those flowers. I mean, it had to be some sort of higher power that designed that flower or that bush or whatever. So that's the reasoning there.
Well, those flowers just seem to give you a sense of hope. The colors, there's a brightness there. There's optimism there, I think.
Yeah. And a spring element to it.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Well, that makes perfect sense. Well,
I bet you missed the days of being in a dark room and hanging prints out to dry.
I never liked that. I never liked that. And I can remember back when I first started doing that back in the 70s, that I hoped that someday I would be able to edit my pictures on a computer sitting on the beach. And by gosh, I can do that now.
Gary and I were talking before our interview, and we were saying, yeah, he probably longs for the days of black and white photography. I said, probably not, but you never know.
Photography for me is all about sharing. I like to be the first person on that brand new golf course. I'm there the day that they cut the pins for the first time.
Yeah.
And then to really get in there and work hard and show the place off. I think that's part of my ability is that I've been to so many places. I know what's different. I know what sets this place apart.
Yeah.
And I really hone in on that to show the sense of place. But then to be able to send it to all of my fellow people in the golf press, and make and drive stories based on the imagery, which has happened many times, where the imagery basically forces them to write stories about these places. That's a big thrill for me.
Well, and Gary's been to a lot of golf courses and played a lot of famous golf courses. And I'm sure he would know if all of a sudden there was a new image of a new golf course and that was completely different than anything he had ever seen before. They would go, wow, I've got to play that golf course. One of those kind of moments.
Well, I just saw on your website, Mike, you had a picture of the 17th hole at Cypress from an angle that I had never seen. And it looked completely different than other shots of the 17th hole at Cypress. And I was like, wow,
it was right off the tee.
Incredible. And that's one of your big ones that's for sale because it is unique.
It's right off the tee, but I took it with a longer lens. Yeah.
Okay.
That's got to be the most dangerous shot in golf. I've seen people hit their ball right of those trees. I mean, from that angle, it looks like you've only got about 15 yards in there to land. So got to be good.
Well, at that point, you're shell shocked after playing 16. So
Yes.
you probably don't even. You just ruined your round on 15 and 16. So 17, you're like, I hate myself. I don't even care. And so you hit a good one because you don't care anymore because you blew your score.
Yeah.
Most
That's
people
how
throw
golf works.
themselves into the ocean at that point.
16 is the famous par 3 that's really long. And
yeah. I will never forget walking across that road and through that little path with the trees and seeing that side of 15, 16 from up on that hill. I'll never forget my first time I ever saw that. Pretty cool place.
But when you were in that neighborhood, did you ever take pictures of the lone cypress? Because everyone does.
Oh, yeah. You have to. It's like the most photographed thing in the world, I think.
I think so. When my mother and her sister and I were there when they were still alive, we were out for a visit, and I scooched them up so that the tree would be on one side and they'd be on the other, and it would be a nice moment. And sure enough, I took the required picture of both the tree. And I'm glad I did.
Glad you have it.
Did you have it set up so the tree looked like it was growing out of your mom's head? Because that's a good look.
Not a good look.
I've seen that done a few times too.
I bet people do. But
Don't you just want to scream when you see tourists taking snapshots and the camera person keeps backing farther away? It's like, oh no. Stand close to the camera and get the Washington Monument in the background. Don't try to be at the base of it because it's one of my pet peeves, and I'm not even a photographer. I try to help people. They ask you to take a picture, and you're taking a picture for them, and they'll say, "Oh, get further back," and they're like, "Okay, I will, but let me take a couple close ones first, and then you can decide later."
Right.
I never hear back from them, but I know they're looking. Well, I wonder why these first two were so good. Well, I don't know. You've lived that your whole life.
That reminds me, I need to tell you, we're doing a twice weekly, what we're calling an e-card. It's called a view from the course.
Okay.
And it's a photograph of mine with a little story about the golf course. And then one of the stories that will more than likely be in our book that I told you about earlier. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is the one that went out yesterday is a story about a Japanese guy on the 17th hole at TPC Sawgrass.
Okay.
That showed up in the pro shop dripping wet.
Oh, I know where this is going. Keep going.
He needed to buy a new wardrobe. And was trying to speak to him and figure out how he got all wet. He thought maybe the sprinkler had gone off somewhere and soaked him. He was taking pictures of his group on 17 and backed up too far.
Now, if he'd been getting closer like he should have,
That's
maybe it
right.
would have happened.
Didn't you know about the
people-
alligator?
I know.
One thing I learned from the photographers at Sports Illustrated was it's photography with people. It's all about the faces.
Yeah.
Get the faces. And if you're always, you're afraid that if you cut people off at the chest, it's going to look terrible. No, it's the faces. What looks terrible is when you can see their feet and their face.
Yep.
Now you can't see their face. So you know that, Mike, but
Either a face or a
convince
gesture.
people.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know too
Mike-
much about taking pictures of people.
Get out of the way, you puny humans.
I want to see nature.
Well,
Now-
give people the name of your website again so they can look at your stuff, buy some stuff, and get ready to buy your book.
golfaslife.com. And
Perfect.
again, a portion of all the sales goes to the National Golf Foundation, and we want to be able to write them some big checks. So
Okay.
That'd be
jump
great.
on.
Open up your wallets, people.
A lot of good stuff to look at on that website, so check it out. Mike, thanks for joining us on the Golf Show 2.0. It's been great.
Well, it's
Nice
been
to get
fun,
that.
really fun. It's good to see you, Kathy. It's been a long time.
Thank you. You too. It has been.